Hey everybody, it's Captain Kyle, and here I have Bruticus. Well, kind of. This is a counterfeit, as I've been recently told. A little shout out to Primal Convoy, who told me I was actually using the incorrect term, which kind of makes sense. This is a counterfeit, though a lot of people refer to it as a knockoff. So counterfeit is the more appropriate term. And in this case, not only did I get a counterfeit Bruticus, I got a counterfeit of the rare Italian one. Hey, it's me, Bruticus! But I'm gonna go through this guy, see if he's any good, and see if this counterfeit can actually slide into your collection and fool people. Well, you don't want to fool people, but you want it to look nice. So we're gonna go through them, be right back. So like many of the counterfeits that I've shown recently, the box is beautiful. This has a little bit of damage on the corner. Not a major thing, happened probably during shipping. Now, since it is the Italian one, it has Transformer up here, which I see on a lot of, actually it was on Diaclone stuff as well. Multiforce, they call, instead of the normal names, they call Onslaught Destroyer. Swindle's called Crasher, because I guess since he's Italian, you know, nobody who's Italian would ever be involved in any criminal activity. We got Bomber instead of Brawl. Explorer sounds very nice instead of Blast Off. And Vortex instead of, well, it's Vortex. So a very cool box. The back is the Season 2 or Series 2 Dinobots attacking Decepticons and Jetfire, and for some reason Road Rage is on this packaging. I'm pretty sure that was on the original too. I think they just hadn't decided to make tracks blue yet. And it has, in Italian, all the tech specs. I could read them to you, but I would horribly butcher all the words, and so never mind. But beautiful packaging, great for display, and people might think you have the rare Italian one. Apparently it's rare, that's what it said online, and all that information is always 100% true. So great box. Comes with instructions. Now, I already did take these guys out to put the stickers on because I wanted them to look good for you. I didn't want them to feel naked. But this is what it looks like inside the styrofoam. And they do have little holes in the back so you can more easily push out the figures. And it makes that wonderful styrofoam noise. So we'll take out Destroyer, aka Onslaught. It's me, Onslaught. Yeah, I'm gonna stop that. That's gonna be way too much. Take out the figures. We'll take out Onslaught's double barrel gun, his regular gun, all the other accessories, chest shield for Bruticus, Bruticus feet, Bruticus head, and Bruticus fists. So that's all we have from inside the package. Now, in putting the stickers on, I also did need to put on the rub signs, and that is a clear indicator that this is a counterfeit, as they say. And I also needed to put on just a couple of the factory stickers. One was the sticker for the windshield for Swindle, or Crasher, Cobot, and the stickers that go onto the back of the flatbed for Onslaught. So if they're crooked, blame me. So let's go through them one at a time, and then we'll merge them together and go from there. So here we're gonna start out with Onslaught in his vehicle mode, and he is a flatbed with this large cannon that can point up as well. Let's see, it does snap in and looks like it's gonna hold pretty well now. So Onslaught, the leader of the Combaticons, a tactician extraordinaire, called Destroyer for whatever reason in Italy, which he certainly is that. And he's got the wheels. The chest plate feels die-cast, so this is the die-cast version. A lot of the combiner groups had, some of them were entirely plastic, some of them had die-cast parts. I don't know when they switched over, but this definitely has some die-cast parts. As usual, the gun does not attach anywhere on this guy. I think maybe, and I'd have to dig them out to see, maybe the Car Robots version actually allowed you to plug this into the top, but I would have to double check. But overall, about what you'd expect for Onslaught. Now, Onslaught also had a base mode, and one of the things that comes in the bag o' parts, other than a lot of weaponry, is the ramp for the base mode. Now, like with pretty much all the other ones, I never really used the base mode when I had these originally. Basically, I got a ramp and a gun, and I don't see the advantage. The instructions show that you can have Brawl drive up on there. Why he would, I don't know, but that is the base mode. So yeah, I'll probably never put him in that mode again, but I'll keep the ramp just in case. Now, he also had a chest shield, So let's put Onslaught into his robot mode and check that shit out. Now I had thought with my original, I pulled the legs out until they kind of snapped into place. They're not snapping here, I'm not gonna force it. Now let's see if they, you know, hold up his weight. Gun fits in the hand fine, and there he is. He's Onslaught, or Destroyer. He seems pretty much how I would expect Onslaught to be, except of course for the popping of the legs. He can do a Jean-Claude Van Damme, just no toes up. He does not bend at the knee, which is expected because the original didn't. And you can move his arm back and forth, pretty much rotate it all the way around. You can turn his head, which is a rare thing for some of the G1 things. Try doing that with Silverbolt. And because of his transformation, he can spread his arms wide, he could point diagonally. So it's not a bad range of motion for a G1 toy. So we'll put him over here for now, and we'll get on to Crasher, AKA Swindle. Now Swindle is a Jeep. He also likes to make deals. He's had other versions of the character appear in other series. His guns do assemble together and then plug in to the top of the Jeep, so he's quite armed. And so what's nice about that is, yes, you won't lose the gun if you display him in vehicle mode. So that's a nice thing. So not too much to say. He rolls about what I would expect him to roll if he were not counterfeit. Now, one thing that's interesting is the symbols. I don't know if this is how they were in Italy. If you happen to know, I would love to know. The symbols are a little bit more blue. They're not quite the purple. The stickers are a little bit different, and I don't know if that's just because of a choice on the counterfeiter's part or if it's an Italian thing. We don't want the purple. It's a little stiff to transform into robot mode. The guns fit into his hands, nice and tight. And there he is in robot mode. The arms move, the head does not turn, and you could kind of have him bend at the knee a little bit, but it doesn't really do anything advantageous. Definitely no Jean-Claude Van Damme on this guy. And the head, of course, I'm trying to push it forward, and it seems to be a little stuck, but that was just stiffness. So his head does bow. So even though in the classic transformation, Swindle makes up one of the legs, you can, of course, have him be an arm. In fact, in Scramble City, they had different modes depending on who was where. It was an interesting concept, but didn't really go anywhere outside of Scramble City. All right, next is Brawl, and first thing I'll note is that his turret is very loose. And it didn't start out that way, but as soon as I transformed him to put some stickers on, it became very loose. He does have an additional weapon that attaches to the back, a sonic cannon, and he's got little wheels on the bottom of his fake treads so he can roll around. I don't recall the original being able to roll much more than this. Again, I can feel, this one feels plastic, doesn't feel die-cast. It's almost like there's a mix, or just parts they chose to do die-cast. But very loose turret, so I'm not pleased about that. Now he does come with a handgun. Again, I believe in Robots in Disguise and Car Robots there was a peg so you could actually plug it into the top of his sonic cannon so you wouldn't lose it, but that is not the case here. Transform him, we put the sonic cannon aside. I can talk, I swear. Again, simple transformation. If when you position the arms, you push the turret in between, it won't flop around so much, but it shouldn't be that loose anyway. So it's already got a minus. The gun was a bit of a tight fit, but it fit. The arms, of course, can go up and can kind of go all the way around depending on if you can maneuver this out of the way. Again, you can kind of bend him at the knee, but you can't really stand that way. No turning of the head, no twisting at the waist. Very limited, but who didn't love Brawl or Bot? Vortex, now Vortex has a number of weapons. He's got these side cannons you can attach to his tail. I swear you can attach them. You can also slide his handgun into the nose, hopefully. There, got it right in. It's got a rotor that spins freely. The back one also spins. So you have a helicopter that is well armed. So this is him in his vehicle mode. Again, about what I would expect. And just seeing the plastic on these guys, they don't feel any different to what I recall of the original G1s. Well, let's get him into bot mode. Now the handgun does plug in. As I recall, it was the upper hole that was the handle, but in this case, you have to use the lower hole in order to plug in his weapon. So I don't know if I'm misremembering or if it's just was different in Italy or is just something that the counterfeiters did. Now these guns you're supposed to put aside, but you can still attach them to his tail fins / arms. And there he is, well armed. I wouldn't mess with him or want to run into him in a dark alley. Again, the arms have some mobility. The legs do move separately, but again, you can't really pose them in anything except standing straight up. And of course the head does not turn. Spoiler alert, Blast Off, head doesn't turn either. Blast Off, aka Explorer. Now he has these two guns for vehicle mode that actually plug into his jet nozzles in the back, which seems counterintuitive for flying around. But there he is with these weapons and much more limited thrust because of, yeah, these being plugged in. So Explorer does not have a place for his handgun when he is in his vehicle mode. Another way to attach these is on the bottom of the wings. There are these two posts. You can also kind of plug them in there, though it does not allow the wings to fold down all the way. Even if I switch them, it still interferes somewhat with the wings going flush down, but it makes a lot more sense than plugging them into his jet thrusters. So you have a couple options with him. Now, unlike his compatriots, his legs, after you transform him, have no separation at all. Not that you could do much with the separation of the other guys. But here they're just one piece and it's implied that he has two legs. But he's really a pogo man. His weapon goes in. Now in his robot mode, you can take his guns and put those into the posts on the side. That's probably what these are more meant for rather than vehicle mode. You're supposed to block the engines. So he has these leg guns that he can also use to threaten shorter people. So there he is, Blast Off. Woohoo! So far, overall, the set is good, except for the looseness of this turret over here. But let's put them together as Bruticus and see how that looks. Now, I do notice that the chest plate of Onslaught comes out very easily, so just be aware that it could be a little loose and it could fall. Now, I am by no means dissing G1 because I love G1, but there were some improvements made when they reissued these guys as new characters in Robots in Disguise / Car Robots. And the weapons could actually interconnect and form a larger, more versatile weapon. So there were some improvements. So there he is in all his glory, Bruticus. It's a me, Bruticus. No, I'm sorry, I promised I wouldn't do that anymore. Now, you can move his arms in different directions. Now, with this guy, you have to have the cab facing back. It's part of the transformation. And so when you're moving his arms, you kind of have to hold the shoulder. But they move freely enough. You can't really move the legs. You can turn the head a little bit if you want. There he is. Now, if you want to add a little bit of extra weaponry to him, you can take Blast Off's guns and attach them back to those pegs. And you can even take Vortex's weapons and attach them back to the tail fins to give him a little bit of extra weaponry. These guys, there's not really much you can do. You can't attach these anywhere. Though I wonder, it's a little loose. I think in the Robots in Disguise line, you could actually take the Sonic Cannon and put it in Ruination / Baldigus's other hand, and he'd be good to go. I think there's also a peg on this that you can actually use it for a shield, but that's not the case with the G1 version. But he's a very cool combiner. In fact, I think out of all the G1 combiners, his mold has been used the most. I mean, you had the original Bruticus, you had Battle Gaia, which was a Japanese-only release, then you had G2 Bruticus, then you had Baldigus, which was released in the Car Robots line, slightly recolored and re-released in the US as Ruination, and then there were not one but two different Walmart exclusive sets of Ruination in different colors. One was like an orange camo and one was like a gray camo. Very cool sets, and it kind of goes with my whole repaint thing. You know, if you had a team like the Combaticons with Blast Off for transport, a good tactician, air support, bombardment, scout, why wouldn't you make 100 teams like that and send them out to bolster all your Decepticon forces? Makes sense to me. But here he is, the Ultimate Warrior, the one who basically kicked Devastator's ass really easily, and if he wasn't ambushed by Menasor, probably would have taken him out too. Putting him up against Predaking, well, Predaking's supposed to be the Ultimate Warrior, so who knows. That's a match I'd like to see. But for a G1 reissue, counterfeit, knockoff, whatever you'd like to call it, this is a pretty good value. Again, the turret a little loose. Can maybe find some tacky adhesive or something to stiffen it up a bit. Maybe I could take it apart and tighten a screw or replace a screw. I don't know if I'm going to go to that extent, but overall as is, I'd say it's a good piece. So I'm going to put a link down in the description where I got this wonderful Italian counterfeit, and also some links to find some other counterfeit / knockoff Bruticus sets. And if it's something that you'd like to get, go for it. This doesn't float your boat? Well, now you know. Anyways, while you're deciding on this guy, we got some other videos over here. You can subscribe down there. There's a nice button. Give us a big old like, share with some friends, leave some comments. We love all that stuff. We'll talk to you later, and as always, have fun and good hunting.